Inside the toolbox as the Southland comes alive once again with traffic. It appears as though safe at home is now unsafe on the road. The 134 looks like the Suez Canal right now, so we need to check in with dusty roads for the first time in a long time. From Whittier to Watts through four-way stops, look out for cops. We got the music that makes you move, so put the pedal down and get out of town. We got green lights for the cars on the toolbox.
I know tonight she comes. She's taking a swipe at fun. She gives me a reason for setting my sights. Well, I know tonight she comes.
From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Peter Facinelli, with Gina Grad up back on news, Bald Brian on sound effects, and we begin the Bittersweet Sweet 16 of March Madness. And now, he's not running to replace Gavin Newsom, but if he were, his campaign slogan would be, "Less woke us, more focus." Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. Mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. All right. Well, a lot went on after we signed off last week. We had our Jam in the Van, which is an outdoor comedy and music show we did on the west side. I showed up just a few minutes before I was due to go on stage because I had to be out at Willow Springs the next morning in the high desert doing a car race. And I actually did Tucker Carlson before I left. So I had like
driveway van?
Yeah, from the driveway van, which is here's an interesting thought experiment. And I don't know if there's ever been a time when you could say this. Because of the van that they park in your driveway, you can watch Tucker Carlson. You could watch his monologue. You can watch his show for the first 20 minutes and then walk out and be on his show and then walk back and watch the rest of his show.
Yeah.
Now, traditionally, if you did a late night show, they'd tape at 5:30. You could watch it that night.
The next night or later that
Live
night.
to tape.
Later that night. If you did a show, a game show, you'd just be there. If you did a sitcom, it would air in 6 weeks or something. Has there ever been a time in history when one could literally walk out one's house, be in the middle of a show, and then walk back and watch the rest of the show?
No, it's very radio, but in TV, you don't hear about that.
Right. And now it's funny. I watched Tucker Carlson, but I never watched the episode I'm going to be on because it's almost, I feel like I have the brain of a native who would be spooked with the bizarre juju that like it's weird to sit there and watch a TV show knowing you're going to walk onto that TV show and then come back. So
even if you're like on the news, like the local news, how rarely do they do live hits anymore? Like it's so like everything's pre-taped and produced and edited. Like it's pretty rare.
Yeah, I do not know of another instance, so you guys can tweet me if you want. But anyway. So I was also talking to Dr. Drew about this because now that his parents are dead and my parents are dead to me, we can talk openly about our hostility for our parents. And Drew kept a good stiff upper lip while his parents were still alive. But as soon as they hit the ground, he started talking smack.
Yeah, thoughts.
And I had to do Tucker on Thursday night and then go do the Jam in the Van on the west side. And then I had to be out Willow Springs, which is 90 minutes, high desert, Lancaster, to do a car race on Friday. And then I got back home Friday night. And then Saturday, my daughter went, "Can you take me and my friends to Malibu?" Which on a Saturday is about an hour and 15 minutes each way. And
Wait, this was the kind when she put the thing in her mouth, the teeth whitener, and then Siri asked you, please take us to Malibu on Saturday. So
no,
this is you,
she did it verbally, her own voice. And I thought how my mom's head would have exploded if I asked her for a ride. She would have been like, I had to go to the Peak, I had to go to the West Side. And then I was not that my mom would do Tucker or Jam in the Van or a car race.
In this hypothetical scenario.
In this hypothetical, if my mom was out in the high desert all day and then you wanted a ride to Malibu, then everybody would be like,
oh, fuck yourself.
Oh, my God. and I realized that, we've talked about it before, like driving was such a big deal. And you have no context when you're a kid. You're like, this must be super strenuous, expensive stuff. And then you do it as an adult and you go, what the fuck was the big deal again?
There isn't one.
No,
there
it's not
isn't.
at all. Can I interject and just say that I, too, was a Jam in the Van? I walked, it's a mile from my house, maybe a mile and a block from my house. And everyone's in the neighborhood. And I'm like, I might as well stop by and, say hi. I haven't seen anybody in literally a year plus. And so hop on over to Jam in the Van. Adam Ray's outside on his phone talking to his fiance. I hop on in. You're on stage. The crowd, by the way, they have a cool setup over there with the lights and they packed him in. It was a nice setup.
Yeah, I agree. There were people sit in folding chairs and put the blankets over their legs. They, have a drink and a smoke.
Lights,
and it's kind of nice.
Nice ambiance. But it was cool it was very cool to see Dawson and Chris and Emmy and intern Ryan I met for the first time. It was very cool. I hung out in the green room for about 8 minutes until a dozen people descended on the green room. I'm like, this is probably enough time for me to hear. But Dawson, upon leaving, Dawson goes, good-naturedly, he's joking. He's like, or maybe he wasn't joking. He's like, would you eat something? And I'm like, buddy, this is me plus 22 pounds. You didn't see me 22 fucking pounds ago. I'm still very skinny.
Hey, Brian.
Hey.
Same.
Yeah. See, she gets it.
Yes. You plus, you were down, 140 something?
No, 133.
Oh, wow. My God.
It's tiny.
I was skin and bones, and Dawson hadn't seen me since before all of this. And so when he saw me now, he's like, hey, you're looking pretty thin. It's like, dude, this is me plumped up.
How'd it go, Dawson? How'd your set go?
I think it went okay. Honestly, I got out of it exactly what I put into it. I've had a few very busy weeks, so I haven't had that much time to really go over it. It was amazing seeing someone like Adam Ray up there who just gave a clinic.
Yeah,
and
he
it's
was
both
great.
It's both heartening and depressing at the same time. Like, I cannot do that. But some of my jokes landed better than others. There were points that I've gotten laughs on other jokes, and everyone was just staring at me. And I'm like, okay, move on. Don't stay here. They're not laughing. Move on. And it was good. It went a lot quicker than I imagined. It felt like I was up there for 3 minutes. I asked August afterwards, I'm like, how long was I up there? And it was just over 5 minutes. I forgot one of my better jokes that was part of the set, and I remembered it halfway through your set. And so you might have heard a subdued fuck from way in the back.
I thought that was just an audience member.
Yeah.
So it went well, but not great.
Yeah, I straight up okay. It went okay.
How'd your set go, Max Zapata?
I was fucking awesome.
All right.
That's what I'm looking for.
No, I think it went well.
People
Yeah,
popping
it was
those
cool.
fingers, tapping those toes.
I found a new yardstick to measure success. And we've talked about it. We've talked about weird esoteric stuff. Like I said, how many times in your life have you paid for parking? Which means, well, if you've done it a lot, it means you've traveled a lot, it means you've left your car at the airport, it means you've gone out and seen shows, it means you've gone in and tried restaurants. How many times have you paid for parking? And anyone can go to a McDonald's, park up the street and walk in or drive through or whatever, but paying, or having your parking validated or valet and, that kind of stuff means you're going out.
Freezer on the bottom.
Yes. Freezer on the bottom. I came up with a new one, and I was thinking about it. I realized that both of my parents, their entire life, have never owned a clicker, a gate clicker or a garage clicker.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Now, look, I understand people live in shitty apartments and they have that big iron gate. Fine.
Right.
But you have a clicker. Fine. You have a clicker. But I'm talking about a gate clicker, a garage clicker. None of my parents' houses ever had a garage. And if they had a garage, I was living in it. So, you know.
There are 3 on my visor right now. Home garage, Adam Carolla Show, studios, and daycare. There are 3 on my visor.
Oh, now we gotta break down that game film, because I was kind of thinking about it's like, well, I have a garage at home, and I also have a second garage door at home, which is a double clicker. Then I thought, well, wait a minute, that's the same dwelling. Does it count? And then I thought
that counts for double. Absolutely.
Yeah, it counts for more.
You got dwelling.
You got a big garage. And then I thought, oh, I got a gate here, and then I got a gate at the other shop, and then I got a condo in Malibu. So I think I'm at 4 or 5 clickers. But I'm talking that my parents never owned one in their entire lives, and the way it's looking, they're going to make it to the grave without a clicker.
They're not going to install a LiftMaster in their 85th year?
No. So I think the conceit has to be, how many have you ever had at once? Because if you moved from apartment to apartment to apartment and they each came with a clicker and the gate, well, you could have 8 at the end of your life, but it wouldn't really count. You need them at once. And then you have to figure out stuff like, well, now Brian's got a clicker for this gate, but he doesn't own this property.
True.
But he does have a job that has a gate, you know, so you got to give some points for being a part of something.
Half point.
But yes, both my parents shall make it to their grave without ever owning a clicker.
And not even the kind of garage door that does the counterbalance, like the shitty one. It's not on rails. It just kind of like teeter totters.
Not the track ones. No, we never. My mom, the house I grew up in, Max Zapata will attest, there was no garage in that house.
Right.
Because they didn't have cars when that house was built.
It was a driveway that just hits a fence.
It was a driveway that hits a fence.
What you lacked in garages, you made up for in front doors.
That's right. With
That's
2
true.
front doors. Then my mom moved to her mom's house, which just has a carport because they converted the garage into my grandfather's den. And then, my dad had that old A-frame in North Hollywood, no garage, or that was converted into something. And then the other house in North Hollywood, I lived in the garage, that was converted as well. So they've never had a gate of any kind.
Of course.
So
zero.
You have to keep them out.
0 clickers. Yeah. We're doing a live pod, by the way, Jam in the Van, May 22nd. So tickets will be available soon.
Yep,
yeah.
same place.
I'm going to walk there. I'll see you guys there.
This is exciting.
I had another semi-philosophical thought, and I don't know, it's not ever talked about, but everyone's always talking about what's going down on the border. Each side is trying to hold the other side responsible. You know, kids in cages. Trump's putting kids in cages, and now it's not kids in cages, but it's kids in the same facilities. And everyone's outraged. It's outraged. Like AOC went out there and just started weeping openly when Trump was president. She's not paid a visit this time, but she went down there and just wept. Everyone's weeping for the kids.
She was pepper sprayed.
But I keep thinking about it, and I have this different head on the whole thing. And I'll play you the question from the press conference, which is Cecilia Vega. She's asking about a story about the border. And then that'll lead me into my thought.
I'd like to circle back to immigration, please. You just listed the reasons that people are coming, talking about in-country problems, saying that it happens every year. You blamed the last administration. Sir, I just got back last night from a reporting trip to the border where I met 9-year-old Josel, who walked here from Honduras by himself, along with another little boy. He had that phone number on him, and we were able to call his family. His mother says that she sent her son to this country because she believes that you are not deporting unaccompanied minors like her son. That's why she sent him alone from Honduras.
We're fine. The point of my story is, all I hear is guys walking from Honduras, 9-year-olds walking from Honduras. And then the other one is while their older sister's being raped all along the way, then they get here, we put them up in some sort of facility along the border, and then the politicians show up and go, they're sleeping on air mattresses. And it's like, yeah, but they're not being raped, and they got a roof over their head, and they got some air conditioning, and they got a little soccer field out back, and they got a blanket made of tinfoil, and they're being fed, and there's medical personnel here. You guys are missing the part of them walking from Honduras. That's kind of the part. See, for me, yeah, it'd be like when the fucking tornado hits Kansas, everyone shows up in the gym of, and the Red Cross shows up. I don't walk in and go, they're sleeping on the floor. I walk in and go, their fucking tornado took out the entire village.
Yeah.
Now for this period of time, they have to sleep together in this place and like share a bathroom and stuff. But it's so insane. Right and left does it. They're both equally outraged at the facilities. They're all grouped together. They're on the floor. They don't have and it's like, yeah, but they just walked here from Central America, and evidently there's coyotes and drugs and rapists all along the way. Doesn't it seem better to be here? I know it's an air mattress. I know it's not a Sealy or a Posturepedic, but still better to be safe here, right?
It's a bad faith argument to be either outraged or dumbfounded or whatever that there is a facility where people need to be processed. You know what I mean? Someone shows up unannounced at your door, like there's a facility. Like you being, this is outrageous, or I can't believe this. Yes, you can believe it. It's completely believable.
Well, first off, what's the alternative? Thousands of people show up, and you got to do something with them, and everyone was nuts. Like, kids in cages, Well, look, we can't just have an open door policy. If you're going to be somewhere, you have to be processed. We have to keep you there. We have to know where you are, and then we have to facilitate taking care of you to some degree. But I don't know, would you guys rather be on the trail somewhere between Honduras and Tijuana, or would you rather be in Texas at a facility asking what's for breakfast?
There's no question.
With coyotes and coyotes.
Right, with coyotes and coyotes.
And here's the other, we've all heard these press conferences for the last, 4 years plus, and maybe I'm blocking it out, maybe I'm naive, but do we recall any president that where they're talking about, like this little boy, 9 years old, walked here from Honduras, seeking a better life? Has anyone said, yeah, can you believe how fucked up Honduras is that a little kid would have to flee there and walk, how many countries over to try and be safe? Does anyone say that?
Nobody says that. But you just did. Thank God. Okay. Yeah, anyway.
President.
It's just, look. It's not like they were on a lazy river in Maui and we plucked the kids off the raft and dropped them in a facility. First off, wherever they're coming from, evidently it's so bad that the mom tells the 9-year-old start walking toward the border. So that's number one.
Chance is to go with your friend.
Then there's the trail between here and there, which sounds like the worst hike ever. And then there's security, some air conditioning, 3 hots and a cot over on this side. So let's just keep that in mind when everyone's going insane about what we're doing with the kids.
That really is something I'd really like to see for myself. Because, when just to see what it really looks like, what's really going on. Because if you're watching MSNBC and you're watching Fox or whatever, you're getting a very different perspective, of either kids in cages or like decent facilities. I just want to see it because who knows what to believe.
They smuggled out a few pictures. Mr. Transparency Biden is not letting the press go over there and
yeah, that's right.
Over there, Mr. I just want the truth, just transparency. He's not having any of that, but they smuggled a few pictures out, and it's what you'd think. It looks like what a high school gym looks like after a tornado hits.
Right.
It's a bunch. It's what, and my whole thing is like, I never need to know, and I'll tell you why. What it is we're a decent and generous society. We will do the best with what we have to offer, and at points we can be overwhelmed, but by and large, they'll be safe. They'll have medical physicians. They'll have food. They'll have some health care. They'll have some activities, and they're going to be detained in a center. It's not, this thing is like, we're torturing these kids in cages. It's like, no, they're forced to drink out of the toilet. I think AOC said that's like, no one's drinking out of it. I'm sure they have tons of bottled water. I'm sure there's a bunch of volunteer groups and churches and stuff, and they're doing the best they can. After a natural disaster hits here, it would be what the Red Cross sort of look like.
I've just pulled up a little picture, and that is what it looks like. It's kids with foam mattresses and pillows and stuff. But then you think also we are in the middle of a global pandemic. So, this is not.
It's not unreasonable.
Yes. Yeah.
But again, the notion, right or left, nobody's in the torture kids business for fun and recreation. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
Very few people.
It doesn't get you reelected. It's not a fun policy. There's nobody does that. It's just
you can't brag to your friends. It's limiting.
They'll do the best with what they have, and when there's a surge, then there's going to be more people in the room than there was before the surge. That's how it works, and they'll do the best to accommodate them. But again, walking here from Honduras is no picnic. So I would bet if you asked every human being that's in one of those facilities, are you glad you're in the facility versus halfway to the facility with the coyotes, I'm guessing they would say yes, and that's enough. All right. And by the way, who do we compare ourselves as a nation to? You know what I mean? Who does all this? Like, why don't they have first class? How come we don't provide? I don't know. Ask the world. Ask all the countries they came from. How come you guys? Ask all the countries they passed through. Mm-hmm. Why don't you guys have world-class accommodations for these people? I don't know. This is part of the. I'll tell you, it is kind of the other side of the coin or the knife in that when we do this America exceptionalism and we're the best and we've got to be better, this is part of the problem. The bar is so fucking high that we believe, unlike almost any other country, that we're going to hit with a wave of folks coming over here and we're supposed to handle it as if they're all checking into a Four Seasons. All right. We have an Inside Edition squatter story that Max Zapata found, and then he found the person that's involved with the story. Oh. Human interest. By God, that's producing.
He found me.
Oh. Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah.
I don't want to take
that sounds about right. All right. So we'll play the 2-minute Inside Edition story first.
Tracy Albert and her husband Miles used their savings to buy this 4-bedroom dream home in Riverside, California 14 months ago. But they have not been able to move in, even though they've been paying the mortgage every month.
He just said he wasn't leaving. That was it. Wasn't going to leave the house, barricaded himself in the house.
So who's the guy blocking their way, refusing them entrance to their own home? It's the previous owner.
Do you think that this was his plan from the beginning?
Yes.
Realtor Chris Taylor says he's never seen anything like this in 18 years selling homes.
Every I was dotted, T was crossed. Everything that could have been done was done. And there's nothing that could have been done to actually prevent this.
The previous owner of this home is now relying on the coronavirus eviction moratorium, which prevents anyone from getting kicked out of their home during the pandemic. But the couple says that they closed on this house in January 2020, before any government mandate was put into effect.
I definitely think it's a case of fraud, that he knew he wasn't going to move out, staged boxes to look like he was going to move out, and then stayed behind.
The Alberts say the courts keep pushing their case back.
I can't walk onto the lot. I was told that would be trespassing. I've been there. The sheriffs have told me to leave.
The alleged squatter, Hassam Bakhtar, and his family have apparently stopped taking care of the property.
So all of this was beautiful when you bought it?
Beautiful and green, the trees beautiful palm trees that are all yellow. There's all weeds.
Our cameras were there when the homeowner tried one more time to get inside.
Hello? You think he's home?
Yeah, he doesn't leave.
I also tried to talk to the family.
Mr. Bakhtor, Jim Murray from Inside Edition.
But no one came to the door.
What would you say to him if he came to the door now?
Get out of my house.
You know, it'd be funny if the guy was like, come on in and get some sweet tea and Toll House cookies. I'm just going to change my panties.
Quite the twist.
Quite the twist.
Just descended upon the couple.
Oh, the prey has now become the hunter.
Predator.
The predator.
Now,
Yes.
why are they paying their mortgage?
Yeah.
Well, if I know banks, they're just like, this is our
Not my
deal.
problem. Yeah.
It's also, we have fucked up so heavily with the rule of law, especially in California. It's like, go get the fucking sheriffs, go show up with the fucking leg irons and the pepper spray and throw this fucking asshole out of the house. Of course, the law's on the squatters' side because that's how we roll. Yes.
Did we talk about this? Sorry, my head's still a little jumbled, but you know how the other day, or was it last week, there was a big demonstration at Echo Park Lake in, not far from
I
here.
don't think we talked about it, but it's
they
in the
were
news.
trying to, encourage the urban campers to maybe find accommodations elsewhere as opposed to in the park. And lots of people started demonstrating, and Gascon, our attorney general, got pissed about it. So that's the world we're living in here.
It's well, when I was a kid, there were three things that were said constantly, and only one of them is still true, which is they would say, this is a free country. I can say whatever I want. All right, that's off the table. And then they would say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but and that's off the table now. But
words hurt.
The one they said that is still very true is possession is 9/10 of the law. And evidently, if you just fucking pitch a tent in a park, that's your home now.
That's yours.
And now we got to convince you why you should leave the park. It's great. Yes, our unhoused neighbors, everyone, who are insane junkies. Hey, is Miles, you on?
Yes.
You're the homeowner?
I am.
How unhelpful has the city been in terms of getting this guy out in over a year now?
Okay, so unhelpful would be an understatement because what they're doing is saying we cannot get involved in any way whatsoever unless you try to get into the house. Then we will get involved and have you arrested and pull you away. But besides that, there will be no involvement. So, again, if it was just one of those things where they said, hey, it's kind of the Wild West, you got to handle it yourself, I would say, thank God. I would love to do that and go in and do it myself. But that's not the case. It's the Wild West for the squatter. For me, they would come and have me arrested and pulled out for trying to get in my own home.
Yeah. I know. It's interesting. It's kind of, in a weird way, it's kind of the same thing that's going on out here with Tin Horn Flats. Like the fucking government has turned against the business. Yes.
I brought that up too.
Brian. Yes.
Miles, the part that I would worry about, this is Brian, I'm on the show. The part that I would worry about is not the paying of the mortgage every month, which sucks. You obviously can't get in there. It's what is this guy going to do upon, God willing, he leaves someday? What's he doing to the house right now?
That's the question. So that's our concern, right? Is that, he's going to mess up the house. He's going to do all this stuff. And seeing the outside of the house makes you think that's definitely going to be the case. My biggest fear was concrete down the drains or something that's going to be a $20,000 fix or something like that but of course he's going to mess it up. It's really for no reason whatsoever. Out of some sort of spite, and I don't know why he'd be spiteful to someone who has essentially been paying his mortgage and having him live for free. Like he should be
good point.
Grateful, but for some reason there's spite.
Yeah.
You should be thankful.
No, I know. We're living in a new world order where people are insane and the government sort of takes their side. I mean, that's essentially where we're living now. Or they're insane and criminals and the government sort of has their back, or the city council does. Is there any, and playing the whole COVID card when this is pre-COVID, so what are you left to do? Like what is the schedule?
So the schedule is, and you mentioned this, the pre-COVID thing. So back in October, because they said the courts were just shut down before, they weren't going to do anything about it. They said the judge acknowledged that this case did not meet any of the COVID moratorium restrictions and says he'll sign the writ, which is necessary to make all this stuff happen. So then we call, and then they put another court date for January, and they put another court date for March. And as we were driving to that Inside Edition interview, there was supposed to be a court date right then. All of this by Zoom, by the way. You can't see anybody in person, can't do anything. Our lawyers standing outside. And they go, yeah, you know what? We're just going to push it back to June. And that's when I was like, no, like this is not happening. Like this, I'm not waiting until June for any of this. This should have been done. There's a piece of paper out of all the documents we have. On the very first piece of paper, you look at it, you look and see that it was bought in January 2020. You look and see that it was paid for in full, and that's it. It's thrown out. It would take less than 5 seconds for any judge to look at and say, oh, this doesn't meet any of the hardship standards that would go along with COVID. And the hardship, we paid cash for the home. He sought out somebody that would buy cash. So he's sitting with, we cleared out our savings, gave it to him, and then on top of it, had to take a hard money loan for the extra, you know, $180,000, $200,000 that was on top of it. And he didn't have a mortgage out on it. It was owned by his own corporation he had sold it to. So he's just sitting with $700,000 in the bank, and I'm sitting with nothing in the bank, and he's getting the hardship sympathy of the state, county, city, all of it.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's getting, and we're paying his HOA. We're not allowed to shut off the power.
Wait a minute. All right, hold on.
The HOA is the grass is dead.
I was just going to say, they need to send him a letter.
I was going to ask about the power because the city of Burbank happily shut the power off to Tin Horn Flats because they defied them. They dared to defy them, but they're super dangerous, now somehow safe outdoor dining. But they will not shut the power. And by the way, if you threw a party up in the hills in a house with more than 20 guests or 10 guests, and you did it twice, they would shut the power. So they're very happy to shut the power on homes who defy them. But this is not their problem. That's the whole thing. This guy's not defying them. This is just a taxpayer who needs you to actually do something. It's like it's almost like the city is like the worst insurance company ever. It's like you pay in and pay in and pay in and pay in, and at some point you get into an accident and you call them and go, okay, and they go, you're on your own.
Well, the only thing worse than at least insurance companies don't want to pay out the money. But you're asking the city to do the one thing they love to do: enforce rules. You guys love to enforce rules. Here's your chance.
Yeah, why won't they shut the power?
Oh, because that falls under the COVID laws that you can't shut off power, utilities, water, any of it, even though, again, this shouldn't fall under any COVID laws. But that's how, I mean, it's just so dismissive of, you can't do it because it's COVID. And you're like, oh, wait, no, this doesn't apply. Like, well, COVID.
You know what I'm wondering?
Like, well,
because
okay, like, well,
in this day and age, you really got to get creative with this stuff. I heard on the clip they said he and his family. Are there other people living in there with him?
Yeah, it's his wife and kid.
You know what I would do? I would do at the very least, and I know nothing about this. This is from a 2-minute clip. I would do a welfare check and a 5150 on this MFR and say, you know, he's possibly neglecting and abusing these people that, you know, he's harboring inside this house.
It's not a bad idea, and we have had every possible thought over the last 14 months go through our head. We did think about that. He has not left the house in 14 months. Like, this is what it's worth to him to be staying in there. Now, his wife will leave late to do grocery shopping or whatever it is because we have surveillance on the whole situation, but he has not left. So he has essentially just ended his own life to try to, like, you know, nothing, everything else is stopped just so he could get this, just to completely dick us over, apparently.
Well, Miles, we hope that you keep us updated. It is more and more, you know, turning out that the city and the state, they don't really work for the citizens. They just kind of work for themselves or the teachers' unions or whoever, the homeless. Like somehow,
just an indifference.
They're
just a malignant indifference.
Well, here's what drives me nuts. If you park in the wrong parking space on a city street, they're highly motivated. But in situations like this, not motivated at all. And I've been saying this for a long time, that is the end of society. You cannot be governed by their set of rules for them, and then the super laissez-faire enter the Thunderdome when is yours. And even worse, if it was just enter the Thunderdome, then you and a couple ex-cop buddies of yours would show up and throw this piece of shit out on the lawn, but they will arrest you for that.
That's right. If I could just say, too, you're right about that. And even the cops that we've talked to have said, like, if this was any other state, this would not be a problem. And, like, man-to-man talking to them, they're like, oh, if I was you, I would just drag him out in the street and do this. It's like, yes, that's what I'd like to do. And they're like, but we'd have to put him back in there. And I've heard you talk about this before, but I was saying, you know what we should do is just basically build an addition or a deck, and then the city would be down here in 2 seconds.
That's a good point.
We would have a permit for it.
Yeah.
And then we could actually get their attention, you know, because it's madness. I mean, it's...
Yeah. All right. Well, once you get them out, you can sell the place, and I'll see you in Texas, Miles.
Look forward to it. I'm a big fan. Appreciate you guys shining light on this. And one more thing, Mark Takano is the 41st District U.S. Representative that I have tried to get out a million times to step in and try to help this, and I've heard nothing back. You know who I hear back from? Max Zapata. That's who gets back to me on Twitter. This guy, nothing back whatsoever. So, Max Zapata, run.
Yeah.
For House Representative, and really appreciate you guys having on.
They're not. He's down in the LGBTQ, BFD march doing something right now. He doesn't fucking care about taxpayers. All right. Thanks, Miles. It's funny. This guy's name was Hassan. Mm-hmm. Hassan was the name of the crazy Arab guy with the giant sword in the Bugs Bunny cartoon. And his
Hassan Chop.
Yeah, that was.
Gina, remember that?
Did they cut those out? Because we've been watching a lot of old Bugs Bunny, and that one ain't on there.
That might not have
on
made
HBO.
The cut, no pun intended. But I remember that distinctly from my childhood.
Yes, because we didn't have things. That's all we'd have. Is you'd see Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck was trying to get the treasure. And then at some point, it was back when it was Arabian Nights. Like Arabia was it was so very romantic. Exotic. Very big and romantic, you know. And he would yell, Hassan Chop.
He was an insane giant man who tried to chop Bugs Bunny in half with a sword.
Yeah.
I'm going to Google Hassan.
He ended up probably going after Daffy Duck more. But anyway. All right, let me hit a spot, and then we'll get to the March Madness, the Bittersweet 16. Let's see. Bloomscape. That's what I'm going to say. Stuck indoors, especially during the winter. Good riddance, I say. Screw winter. Moving on. Bloomscape. Find the perfect plant for your space and keep them growing all year long. Bloomscape delivers healthy plants right to your door. Plus, grow how you need to make them thrive. I got the hedgehog aloe. I got the little cacti aloe, which is doing quite nicely. It's in Malibu. I just saw it yesterday. New outdoor bloom kits, the easiest, most convenient way to get growing. Shop a variety of young plants, accessories, tools, supplies, everything you need to get your patio and porch springtime ready. Complete, customizable, mix and match, sizes and colors as well. Add a little fresh plant to your life with Bloomscape. Right, Dawson?
Get 15% off plant orders of $100 with promo code Adam at bloomscape.com. That's 15% off plant orders of $100 or more at bloomscape.com. Promo code Adam.
All right, we will take ourselves a break. Max Pat is going to find Hassan Chop. Oh, yeah. And then we'll come back and we'll do March Madness, Bittersweet 16.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
If you said Sunset Boulevard.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
You're correct. Now, back to the show.
Oh, he's found it.
Save me, pal! Save me! Help! Hassan Chop!
Yep.
Help!
No, blank.
Call me a cab, boy, and be quick about it. I'm a heavy tipper.
Hassan Chop. All right. So you should just do what we do, like just blare that. Just get a loop of Hassan Chop.
That's good.
And then just put on a big speaker and just leave it out there. Do Go Say Anything style. You just get there in a trench coat and just hold the boombox over his head.
Because the neighbors aren't being tortured enough by this guy right now.
Oh, God. Oh, don't even get me started. Can you imagine the neighbors?
Well, it might be a step up.
Ugh. All right. We ready, Dawson?
It's time once again to experience the exquisite exasperation in March Madness Madness. We officially closed out round one Friday with some blowouts and upsets. In the Classics Conference, veggie sandwiches got stale and were steered and cleared out of the tournament by Click It or Ticket. In the Big Government Conference, much like in real life, teachers' unions didn't show up against food stamps and school lunch programs and got sent on permanent vacation. In the California Conference, forest lawn flower guys paid no respects and buried graffiti. And finally, in the Pop Culture Conference, Gillette's toxic masculinity ad had anything but a close shave after blowing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame out of the tournament harder than Devo blows in general. On to the Bittersweet 16. Our first matchup is in the Pop Culture Conference. DJ Khaled is back for another one against Little Miss Sunshine.
All right, DJ Khaled. I'll make these a little shorter because we've done them before. DJ Khaled. Last time I saw DJ Khaled was on TMZ because he was getting a mani-pedi and he wanted to make sure he filmed himself getting a mani-pedi. What a tremendous sack of douche manure. That's right. I've taken the worst solid and the worst liquid and put them together to create the ultimate in insults. He's a sack of douche manure. So he's sitting there being filmed being groomed. You should never fucking film yourself being groomed. He's got the people working on his feet. He's getting the back of his head fucking cleaned off. Also, the sweatpants and the beard should be legal for anyone who's morbidly obese, because I feel like if you get a velour sweat outfit and a beard, you can get as fucking fat as you want. The fishbowl needs to be shrunk because he's the size of a fucking whale, and he never stops talking about his kid. He's one of these guys who's like, I'm grooming my kid, and you think to yourself, oh my God, are we going to have another DJ Khaled? Like, is my son going to have to contend with his talentless sack of shit son? And the answer is yes. And you go, well, what are the chances we'll know who his son is? What are the chances he'll be able to do what dad did? Well, I don't know. If it's a LeBron James, maybe that's a question. If it's Michael Jordan, maybe that's a question. But DJ Khaled does nothing. So, of course, his son is going to fucking do everything and be alive long enough to annoy my fucking son. Little Miss, is that what it is, Dawson? Sorry.
That's right.
Little Miss Sunshine.
Little Miss Sunshine. Little Miss Sunshine. All right. Well, we've covered a lot of ground, so I got two angles. One is Steve Carell. Oh, Steve Carell, he's so embarrassed when he goes in the AM/PM and he's caught with his suicide attempt, Chippendales wristbands on. He's the only... All right. Now, listen. He's the only person in that fucking microbus who's wearing a long sleeve shirt. You know why? Because they're in Arizona and they're coming to Long Beach and it's during the summer. So every single person there is wearing a short sleeve shirt because it's hot outside and the microvan does not have air conditioning. But Steve Carell is wearing a long sleeve shirt, but he has it cuffed up just enough so that you can see that he attempted to kill himself because he was in love with a college professor. And then when he goes to the AM/PM and he runs into his ex-lover, he's humiliated having to hide his hands behind his back so his ex-lover doesn't discover that he tried to kill him because of his ex-relationship with the man. But I would argue that before you enter the AM/PM, you can simply roll your sleeves down and then it'll be none the better. so you could have a fucking swastika tattoo on your inner wrist. I'd be none the wiser because you rolled your fucking sleeves down. Who the fuck directed this film where he rolls his sleeves back just enough so you can see his Chippendale cuffs? And the thing that really pisses me off about this goddamn movie is we went to the competition, and we got to the competition, and Little Miss Sunshine just fucking shakes her fat gunt the whole time and does nothing. By the way, the song she's shaking her ass to is from a guy who is incarcerated for torturing women and abducting women, and I don't even know the fucking charges against Rick James, but Rick James had some hellacious charges against him. His charge, he like got women, locked them in his dungeon, and had sex with them. Max Zapata can look it up. Don't get me, I'm focused here. My point is this. Everyone else plays the piano, everyone else sings opera, everyone else swings a baton, but not Little Miss Sunshine. She just gets up there like a drunk fatty at a fucking frat party and shakes her ass. And somehow she is the one we're rooting for? Fuck that. Practice and hard work, bitches.
Wow. Woo. Well, this is the Bittersweet 16 for a reason, Gina.
Clearly. Yeah, I mean, geez, I'm almost speechless.
I'm going to have to deduct a point for fat guns. That's a child, for God's sake.
I was just going to say.
He's over 18 now.
The only bone I really had to pick with either was, referring to the 10-year-old's gunt. But I got to say, the fire in the belly over this specific problem with a costume design flaw.
Yes.
I thought was very poignant.
Powerful.
And also, we just took a side detour about the horrors that Rick James has inflicted upon women.
Indeed.
I think it was really three-dimensional, really well thought out. I'm going with Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, this is interesting because I'm going the other way. I liked douche manure. That was a nice injection into the public consciousness.
Yep.
And going after his son was an inspired move for grooming him. We may have to go to the tiebreaker on this, Chris and Dawson.
Yeah.
We're going to give it to DJ Khaled.
Wow.
All right.
Close.
Although the judges over here say they really liked Fat Gunt.
Oh, I like it all.
Next up, in the big government conference, Elizabeth Warren against first-round upset victor, Dr. Fauci.
Elizabeth Warren. Well, I hate Elizabeth Warren because whenever she talks, she sounds like she's about to cry because everything is so fucking horrible in this country. But let's focus on the aesthetic. Someone's got to take that bitch to Lens Crafters. Those fucking glasses are driving me nuts. I've seen them for way too long. She looks like an 18th century cobbler or Ben Franklin's optometrist or something. There's something fucking wrong with her frames. Get something cool. Get some Wayfarers. Fucking tint them up. Look like Jeff Goldblum from Jurassic Park or whatever the fuck glasses he wore. And I'll tell you how you know a politician is phony. There is a famous video of her that's online where she's drinking a beer. Anytime a politician goes, I'm going to have a beer, watch me drink a beer, that means they want you to think they're a real human being. I've never said to anyone, hey, I'm thinking about cracking a beer. Come on, come down. Let me ring the bell. I'm a regular guy. I'm drinking a beer. She's like, I'm going to drink a beer because I'm a regular human being, not a fucking fembot who wants to tax this country into the fucking poorhouse. What do we got? Dr. Fauci?
Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci. Oh, Fauci's great. You don't have to wear a mask. That was a year ago. Now you do have to wear a mask. Then it goes into, well, 2 masks are better than 1. Then we're getting into the 3-mask territory. Now he's being interviewed, and people say to him, but Fauci, after we're vaccinated, do we still have to wear a mask? Yes, you still must wear a mask. Really? What the fuck are we getting vaccinated for? And it's sort of like saying, well, you know, after you get your nutsack snipped, she still needs to be on birth control, and you still need to wear a condom. No, she doesn't, and no, he doesn't. Once you're vaccinated, you're fucking vaccinated. And then this thing where it's like, well, there could be a fourth strain coming out of Europe. Oh, okay. A hypothetical that keeps us in our fucking mask and locked down for another 100 years. This is awesome. What other hypotheticals can we talk about? Meteors hitting, volcanoes going up. Yes, there may be another strain. There may be everything all the time. You may get hit by a fucking bus later on tonight, bitch. But I'm taking the fucking mask off when I get the fucking vaccination. And then you do the scenarios like, well, if you're vaccinated and the couple you're hanging out with is vaccinated, then it might be okay for a small group meeting. You want to keep this shit going? I don't want to keep this shit going. You're fucking 80 years old. You want to ride this thing into the fucking grave? I'll do a double mask on your ass and I'll take one of them off when they shut the coffin lid.
Inspired.
Again, the competition is getting fierce. As much as I love the fire of the Dr. Fauci one, it felt more about masks and variants than about Fauci himself. I loved the creativity of going after Warren's glasses and her beer. That was bringing Dr. Ian Malcolm into this. That was good stuff.
You got to find Warren talking about her beer. It's such a politician move. Sorry, go ahead.
I agree. I think that there was more of a fire in the belly for the second one, but it wasn't about Fauci himself as much. The only thing I'm a little bit sad about is you couldn't. Yeah, I know that this is March Madness, but I know you love her skin. I wish it came up. I wish you brought up how silky smooth and velvety soft her skin is. But I agree with Brian. It was an interesting take on what you hate about her.
Yeah, I appreciate her skin for a 72-year-old woman. She's got fantastic skin and hair. He must be eating the gelatin or something. What is it?
the Knox, the Knox gelatin.
Yes, it must be on that shit. But glass is outdated. All right, do we pick a winner? Sorry.
Yeah, we're both for Warren, yes?
Yeah.
All right.
Warren moves on.
All right, Elizabeth Warren moves on. Now, last but not least, in the Classics Conference, it's emotional support animals versus waiters and tipping.
Emotional support animals. Well, let's not forget the time I was walking through LAX. An emotional support animal, I wish, took a dump. I wish that fucking dog took a dump because that would have been a great upgrade from the liquid shit that squirted out the dog's ass 440 feet and turned a corner. Literally, when I got done walking behind the dog with its 50 foot of shit laid out, I was at Grandma's house. That's right. I went full fucking Hansel and Gretel on everyone's ass. The fucking emotional support animal. What does it say about you that you're unable to do things without your fucking animal? And by the way, where did you get that animal? I'll tell you where you got that animal. That animal was a rescue. It's not your emotional support animal. It's a fucking dog that someone else got tired of feeding and they dumped it off. And then let's just deconstruct this. What if somebody had got that dog before you fucking got to the pound and then you got to another dog? Would the other dog be your emotional support animal? How's everyone your fucking soulmate?
Waiters and tipping.
Waiters and tipping. I have a new rule for waiters. Waiters, this is a very scary profession because of tipping. All right, let me explain. I had a girlfriend who was a stripper a million years ago. And I said to her, why don't you stop stripping and get a job? And she did quit stripping and get a job. And she said, you know what? This fucking job sucks because it pays $9 an hour. They take taxes out. I have to be there by 8:30 in the morning and no one is buying me champagne. This job blows. I want to go back to stripping. Well, waiter is sort of like stripper where you never fucking age out. I mean, when I was in Maui with everyone like 2 years ago, the waiter's a 50-year-old dude. Why would he ever stop being a waiter? Why would he ever get vocational training? Why would he contribute to society besides bringing people fucking short ribs? Because he's walking out of the building with $400 cash every night that he doesn't have to claim to the fucking government. And we're the fucking suckers who went to architectural school, who became carpenters, who became orthodontists. We're the ones that are fucking making less than the fucking waiters. This is not doing a service to the human being who wants to be a waiter. Here are the new rules for waiters. You cannot be a waiter if you're older than 26 years of age, but you may begin again after the age of 68. For that fucking window, you have to go into society with the rest of the world that doesn't rely on tips and make your fucking way.
Wow.
This might be the toughest yet for me.
I don't know about you, Gina. I looked at support animals as a number one seed, like just the prohibitive favorite.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, this will be quick and
Yeah.
ugly. But I was pleasantly surprised with the second rant, the comparing it to stripping, and also with the new rule that you can't be a server between certain ages.
Yeah.
Inspired. I love the existential question, like what does that say about you, or like if you had shown up earlier, maybe you got a different dog, and then it's like an Inception situation. But I'm leaning towards waiters.
Yeah, I hear that. I've never heard of Gonzaga except for in this calendar, in this month. Is that a number one seed school?
They are number one seed.
Okay.
They're very good.
Yeah, I think that emotional support animals are the Gonzaga of this tournament, and so therefore we expect a lot of them. You had me at volatile diarrhea when it came to the support animal, and I think that you don't need much else. However, I think you're right. I think Brian's right that you brought in you folded in these beautiful existential questions and solved it. So I say we go tippers.
Waiters pulls off the upset.
All right.
You can get your bracket at adamcarolla.com and tune in tomorrow for more Bittersweet 16 action as the Big Ranch rolls on in March Madness.
We got Elizabeth Warren advertising she's drinking a beer.
Yeah,
It's
so she went
She's
on.
talking to her own phone. I'm gonna have a beer.
Yeah, this is on her Instagram live. She did a live stream.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to get me a beer.
Such a filmer. When I drink, I tell people to put the fucking camera down.
Hey, Robert, my husband Bruce is now in here. You want a beer?
No, I'll pass on the beer for now.
You sure? Come over and say hello to folks.
Yes.
Because they've never had beer in
This
that
is
house.
my sweetie.
Hello.
And I'm crazy.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
I'm glad you're here.
Like a lot of slapping.
Oh,
going
we
on.
got here so far.
By the way, she drinks a beer like Vin Diesel drinks a beer, like someone
Yeah,
who's
around
never
the-
owned a beer before. Like it's like those movies where the guy has to smoke, but he's holding it with his fist and he's coughing like.
I was waiting for some sort of pop-top debacle. I didn't know she'd be able to get
I
it
know.
off.
I was wondering about that.
All right, Peter Facinelli is waiting for us, so let me hit Rex MD. Men hate going to the doctor, especially about the sensitive stuff, but a lot of men's health issues have simple solutions. RexMD.com. Get prescription ED medication easily, all online from the comfort of your own home. And right now, they have sample packs of ED medications that are available for Adam Carolla Show listeners. Just fill out a quick medical questionnaire on their website, and a doctor reviews your situation, prescribes you the ED medication you need if appropriate. Then your medication is shipped to your door with free 2-day shipping, fast, transparent, affordable, and you can access your Rex MD physician anytime. That's Rex MD, right, Dawson?
It's never been easier to take control of your health. Those sample pack prescriptions Adam mentioned are available at rexmd.com/Adam. So go to rexmd.com/Adam to get started with RexMD. rexmd.com/Adam.
Well, we'll talk to actor who's been in a million things and has got a million more coming out, Peter Facinelli, and we'll do that right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Adam. Hey, just finished watching The $6 Million Man, where he's friends with Bigfoot. And now it's Emergency with one of the best porn stashes in the business. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Peter Facinelli has joined us once again. He was on in August 2018. Movie, The Vanished. It's available now on Netflix, and we'll get into that as well as also The Ravine, available Friday on Amazon. So Peter's a busy man Twilight 1 through 4, and many, many other movies, 6 Feet Under, TV shows, Glee, Nurse Jackie. And father was a waiter. So now we have to get into this, Peter, because it's
but I think there's a loophole there because Peter, are you first generation American?
I am first generation American.
Would you consider that a loophole, Adam?
No, I mean, I wouldn't. I thank you, Gina. No, here's what I'm curious about. I was ranting about this moments ago, which is waiter gets to be a good job where if you're at the right place, you can make good cash, you can work good hours, and you can do pretty well. So it kind of takes the wind out of your ambition sail. But I will make an exception for off the boat immigrants for sure. But Peter, what do you think?
100% off the boat. I mean, my dad. I actually was just talking to him about this last night. He got here from Italy when he was 18, and knew nobody. Didn't even speak English, and his brother was here already. And he thought, well, maybe he'll be a carpenter. And his brother said, well, you don't want to sit in a factory and make chairs all day. He said, okay. So then he went down and saw a friend who was a mechanic. And the mechanic said, I'm just a fender bender and I don't fix like the engines, you know? And then 2 days later, one of his friends from his small town took him to a restaurant and said, hey, there's an opening for just bussing tables and doing dishes. And so he said he made, I think $6 that day, $6. And he said in Italy, he made $6 a month. So for him to make $6 in one day, he thought he was rich. And he never stopped working in the restaurant business. He was one of the youngest waiters because back then waitering was like prestigious. You had to be very well trained. And in the restaurant business that he was in, he was a waiter for all the Broadway shows in the Broadway district. So he worked at like Mama Leone's and Cristella's and all these like fancy restaurants where like movie stars would come. He always says to me, I've met more movie stars than you'll ever meet in your life.
I was thinking if he worked at an Italian place, then the accent's awesome. If he works at a Thai food place, it's going to be off-putting. But if he stayed with Italian.
Well, he had to learn English. I mean, the first day he was there, he said that he knew no English, and he kept getting in everybody's way, and they kept saying, watch it, hey, watch it. And he said, in Italian, vache means cow. So he went to his friend, he said, well, why are they calling me cow all the time? I don't understand. So it's kind of a cool story. And he waited for like 40 years. He served 4 presidents, and it was pretty cool.
Was your mom from Italy too, or did you meet her here?
She was also from Italy. Their towns were about 30 minutes apart, but they actually met in Canada through relatives.
Huh?
So I'm first generation I'm American. And I have a passport, an Italian passport, citizen. I have a citizenship from Italy, so I have 2 passports, which is kind of cool because when I got my Italian passport, I grew a mustache and slicked my hair back. So I feel like I was like, that's my Italian passport. I have my American passport. I feel a little like James Bond.
I'm reading here that you lost 30 pounds during the quarantine.
Yeah.
You're the one.
What's the plan? What have you been doing? Or what was the mindset first?
Well, I just kind of, I didn't want to go out to the grocery stores. So I just stopped eating and I didn't want to catch COVID. So I just never went out of my house. I haven't eaten since last March. No, honestly, I really thought now I have time. So I can't go out. So I'm going to go in. So I just kind of took care of myself. Ate better. You know, it's interesting because when you're always on the run, I would pick up M&Ms or candy bars, just whatever, you're eating to get you through the day. When you're at home, you start being more conscious about the food that you put in your body. And then I started feeling healthier, and then I started running more and working out more. So I feel great. I mean, I don't think I was overweight before, but I was not eating healthy.
Yeah, well, when you work in film and TV, it's so easy to graze because they just lay it all out there. It's kind of a weird, and by the way, if you're doing a film or a TV show and you go like, I'm not going to go to the craft service table and hang out with all the peanut M&Ms and all the chips and everything, and you stay on set, the mountain will come to Mohammed. At a certain point, the chick's like, I made quesadillas and I also made smoothies, and they just show up and they shove it in your face, and now you're just looking at these quesadillas and this little smoothie thing she made in a Dixie cup, and you're like, fuck it.
Yeah, they definitely have a whole job that's there to just bring snacks to people all day, because people are on their feet for 15, 16 hours. So it's hard on set, especially when people are, putting food in front of you. But, gotta stay strong.
Yeah. So speaking of movies, The Vanished, which is available now on Netflix.
Have you watched it yet? Have you watched my movie yet?
No, I will watch it because I wasn't informed that it was even on Netflix until moments ago. But I watch Netflix, so I will watch it. Well, tell us about it. We'll paint the picture in our head.
Yeah, I'm excited about that one because I wrote that one and I directed it. I'm in it too, but it stars Thomas Jane and Anne Heche. Jason Patrick also is in it, and he's a fantastic actor. And I'm so blessed to work with great actors. And I've directed before, but this is the first one I've written and directed. So it's a movie about two parents who go to this RV park, and then within minutes their daughter goes missing, and it becomes a who took the kid movie. So it's kind of a psychological thriller, but the audience gets to participate and figure out, like, was it this person? Do you think it's this person? So I love movies like that where you're trying to figure it out along with the parents who might have taken the kid.
How do you sit down and start, and then Brian has a question, sorry, but how do you sit down and write that kind of a story? Do you see it on the news and it triggers something, or do you just go whole cloth?
No, to be honest, I had an RV, and I took my daughter when she was 5 on an RV park trip all the way across America. We went RV park hopping, from New York to LA. Have you ever been RVing? It's a lot of fun.
Took an RV from here to Vegas once to do a show, but that doesn't really count.
It's only 4 hours.
Not the same. We went
to stop and camp at all. No. It's super fun. I enjoyed it. Like, just going across America and seeing like people change and culture change and like the houses and structures change. It's like, it was a really cool trip. Anyway, we got to one RV park and it was a little mom and pop shop. And I went to pay the guy and I heard gunshots. And I said, what's that? And he goes, oh, don't worry about that. There's a prison down the road. He said, a couple of gunshots. They do drills once in a while. He said, but if you hear more than 3 or 4, come run into the front desk. So I went crawling back to my trailer and I was like, my RV. And I was like, well, man, I couldn't sleep all night because I thought, well, what if somebody breaks out of prison? And what if someone took my daughter? And what if my daughter went missing in the midst of all this beautiful nature? It'd be like looking for a needle in a haystack. And then that started the process of answering those questions and creating a story based on that trip.
So you went from where to where, and how many stops, how many states?
Oh God. I went from New York to LA, and I did 30 days in a motorhome. So I don't know how many states I might have crossed, but it was super fun. I remember, it's great because you could stop anywhere. I remember stopping in Metropolis, Illinois. It said Metropolis, Illinois, hometown of Superman. I was like, I got to stop there. And it was like, I pulled my giant RV into this little town, which was bigger than the, town square. And there's a 60-foot statue like Superman and a little mom and pop like museum that you go into. And it's some old lady's house, and they have glass cases with like Christopher Reeve's wig on. So I went in with my daughter who's 5, and I'm super pumped because I love like stuff like that. And I go into the little museum. I pay the $1, and there's a guy behind the counter. He has a trucker hat on, and he's smoking a cigarette. Okay, in the museum, in this like house, and he's reading a wrestling magazine, which is, you can't get more middle America than
right.
that. And I go, hey man, got a super bathroom for my super little girl, because she had to go to the bathroom. And he goes, he doesn't even look up. He goes, try the Super 76 across the street. And I was like, that's awesome.
That's your guy.
Yeah.
So 30 days with your 5-year-old daughter?
Yeah.
Is this it's probably your idea, but it's something that she was excited about? Like, I'm picturing myself being with my dad
I mean,
went
she
for
was
30 days.
5, so I don't think, she wasn't going to say no. I was like, hey, we're going on a vacation, 30 days in an RV. She loved it. I don't think it scarred her too much. Yeah, I mean, it was just a blast. I had a good time. She learned to swim on that trip because you go to these RV parks and they all have like pools and you get in, you should try it, man.
I'm going to try it. Although I got to do it with your daughter, not my daughter, because I had this great scene where...
Honey, this is Uncle Adam.
I took...
She's 24 now, so that'd be a little
better
weird.
yet. Even better. Even better. I had this crazy scene where I took my daughter and her friends to Malibu. I have a condo in Malibu, and we're going to take them to the beach, and we're going to do this, that, and the other. And we pulled up at like 1 o'clock, and they wanted to go into the condo and like get changed into their stuff and then go down to the beach. But as we're heading in, I said, are you guys hungry? Because, we're going to eat later, but maybe not 4 or 5 o'clock. It's like 1 o'clock. And then my daughter's like, I haven't eaten anything. And then the two friends were like, yeah, we could eat. And I said, oh, okay, I'll be super dad. And they went upstairs to change. And I got out the big wooden board and started cutting up the cheese and the salami and the meats and the strawberries and a charcuterie, I think they call it.
Yes, indeed.
And I made this beautiful presentation with avocado, everything. And I laid it out, and they all came down the stairs. And I said, I made you a beautiful snack. And they said, we're going to the beach. And I said, just have a snack and then go to the beach. We want to go to the beach. I said, well, maybe your friends want a snack. And my daughter said, they're not hungry. They want to go to the beach. I was like, let them answer. Let them answer for themselves. Wow. Do you guys want some cheese?
Have a snack.
And they were like, no, I just spent this whole thing. And by the way, now I got to eat the whole board because I don't know what to do with it. So
charcuterie. It's charcuterie.
I kept saying, listen,
as Peter's dad would say.
Yeah.
Sit down, just have 5 minutes. My daughter's like, no, we're going to the beach. And I'm like, I think your friends are hungry. They said they're hungry. They're not hungry. I'm like, let them answer for themselves. The poor girls are like looking at my daughter and like looking at me, and I'm like, do you guys want some cheese and some salami? And they're like, and then my daughter would chime in and go, they're not hungry. They want to go to the beach.
They're hungry.
So
tell you once.
I was like, fuck it, I hope you all drown. And I just ate all the charcuterie.
Anytime you want to make charcuterie, you invite me over. I'll bring my Italian passport and we'll sit down.
Oh, paisan.
Loaves of bread from New York. My parents actually travel with food in their suitcase. They come from LA and they start pulling out salami and bread and cheeses. And I'm like, they have food here, Mom. And she's like, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same as New York.
Well, they have toothbrushes as well, but you still bring your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an immigrant thing, I think. Whenever I talk to people of immigrant parents, whatever the nationalities, when they travel, we were just talking to some guest whose dad travels with sausage and shows up. Oh, it's Jane Kasmerick, I think, was saying that her mom brings in, it's from like Wisconsin or something, like just brings in the kielbasa.
That just reminded me, I don't know if I've told you this before, but one of my best friends is Chinese. And her mom, when she came over here alone in the 70s, she didn't know anything about the United States. She landed in the Bay Area. She didn't know if they would have Chinese food. So the only carry-on she took from immigrating from China to the United States was on her lap. She had a thing of chow mein and a thing of duck, and just sat quietly from China to San Francisco to FSFO with this Chinese food because she was so terrified there'd be no Chinese food.
Only to find out they're surrounded by Chinese food.
The biggest Chinatown in the country.
Not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Not true.
When you were studying acting, I'm reading here, Peter, that you had William H. Macy and Felicity Huffman as one of your instructors back in the day.
Yeah, they would come in and do guest lectures. Yeah.
Wow. And William H. Macy is a little underappreciated, but one of the best actors we have.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's great.
I mean, just him, and just watch Fargo.
Yeah.
I should watch that with my son. He wants to watch
absolutely.
cool movies.
Boogie Nights he was in. I mean, so many great.
Little Bill.
Heartbreaking in Boogie Nights.
He was awesome. Yeah, next to the great Nina Hartley.
Speaking
Yes.
of the underappreciated, amazing actors and actresses, Peter, you're in one of my favorite shows, Nurse Jackie, next to my other favorite show, The Sopranos. So I bet you can guess who this is going to be about. And I hear that Edie Falco is going to play Hillary Clinton coming up soon.
Oh.
I'm wondering if there's anything that you took away from working with her that was just I don't know, new. Like she's to me, she's such an unbelievable force in her craft. And I'm just wondering, what is something that's just so Edie Falco that you take away from working with her?
What I really respect from Edie is she's so simple. And a lot of actors come in, they feel like they have to do a lot and like really push things or but she comes in and her acting is just, there's a simpleness to it, and she doesn't overact, and she's so real because of that. I remember doing a scene with her once, and her line, she says something, and then I say, and I'm supposed to say my next line, and she said something. I said what? Because I thought that she was not acting, so I thought that she was asking me a question, and then she repeated the line, and I said what? And she goes, no, you have another line. And I go, oh my God, I didn't know you were acting. Like, it was so crazy that she was like so natural that I had asked her, I wasn't even like, she just kind of draws you in. There's some beautiful simplicity. And not a lot of actors get credit for that. Sometimes when they're simple, they just, because the flashier, actors who do the flashy stuff, they get the credit. But like, I love that she gets credit for that because it's a beautiful thing.
What was she doing before Sopranos? Do we know her from many
Just
roles?
bouncing from project to project. I mean, that was her big role, right?
Yeah, that was her breakout role.
Yeah, that was her big breakout role.
I never know, because good actors and actresses kind of disappear into roles, and you go, oh, that was the guy from the thing that I forgot. Oh, I didn't know it's the same person, just because they're good, Yeah. And also because she got that role when she was 47. I mean, I don't know how old, but I just mean she was not young. You'd think someone that talented would have caught on somewhere before then.
Also,
Yes.
I have to ask, and I'm sure you get asked, you've been asked this.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have to jump in. She played Marge Gunderson in the TV movie of Fargo.
Oh, really?
There was a
Yes,
TV
in
movie of Fargo?
2003. In 2003.
Wow.
Far. I can't imagine her with that
Okay,
accent.
I had to get that in.
Thank you.
How uncomfortable / awesome was your first scene with Edie Falco when you grab her boob in Nurse Jackie?
I mean, it's always uncomfortable. I mean, for the character, it's supposed to be uncomfortable. So
that's the point.
It's like, it's a hard thing to do because it's not a sexual thing. I don't know if you've seen this.
When he gets nervous,
but when he gets nervous, he has
out.
like a sexual Tourette's, and he grabs the boobs, and then he's supposed to not notice that he has like his hand on someone's boob. So it's almost like a no look grab, and then all of a sudden you got to realize it, and then you got to react to it. So and I always felt more bad for them because you're grabbing I have to do to a couple of different women, and you're like grabbing a sexual organ. And I'm more uncomfortable. They're more uncomfortable. I feel like, it's a very uncomfortable thing all the way around. And then for rehearsals, you're like, I'm just gonna pretend.
That was Peter's suggestion. Like, hey guys, I got a great idea for this character.
Yeah. Yeah. And poor Al Franken's got to watch and go, really? And
This fucking guy?
And he's getting paid?
Yeah,
Jesus
he never
Christ.
he never lost his job either. They never addressed that thing. I think in today's day they would address that. It was wrong. It was very wrong of that character to grab female boobs, even though it was a Tourette's and he meant nothing by it. It was very wrong. Seriously.
Where is Nurse Jackie? What's it on? What's it streaming on?
It was on Showtime. I think it's on Netflix now.
Is it?
It's fantastic.
I'm gonna find it because I never know where stuff is anymore or if stuff is anymore. I don't know where everything's streaming. I actually I showed my son Windy City Heat, a movie I did with Jimmy Kimmel a million years ago. That's a total goof. It's an insane movie, but it's funny. I won't get into trying to explain what it is, but I had no idea where it was. And I don't think it's anywhere. I think he had to find it on YouTube.
Let me improve your life and everyone listening. PSA, website and an app called Just Watch, justwatch.com. Changed my life ever since I downloaded it 2-3 years ago. You just type whatever you want in there. It tells you where it is. Tells you where you can rent it, how much, or if it's streaming. It's all inclusive, and it's life changing.
That's a good life hack. Honestly, because I'm like Adam, I don't know where to find it. And then you got to Google it, and then you're trying to figure out where it is. And then you're like, well, maybe I could just download it on YouTube or watch it on YouTube. And it's always like grainy on YouTube.
And then
the image is flipped.
Then I get into this weird place where I kind of feel like my dad or something, where it's like, wait a minute, $4.99? Do I already own this? I own this. I'm sure I got a Blu-ray of this somewhere. Like, I'm sure I'm already paying for something. But my son's always like, it's rented again, and I'm like, I know it's somewhere. I'm just going to rebuy it. All right.
You're sitting there going, is it worth $4.99 to go through the cabinet, or should I just press the button right now? That's what most people are thinking. Like, I know I have it, but is it worth $4.99 for me to get up right now?
Well, there's also a thing that I got a million years ago, and it's called a kaleidoscope, and it's like a computer, and you just enter all the DVDs.
That's the high roller. That's the high roller.
It was super expensive.
Never heard of it.
You got the jukebox for DVDs.
Right. But then what happens is you have 1,000 movies in no particular order, and you have to just go scroll through them. But the weird thing is you end up finding stuff you have no... we were looking for like a Woody Allen movie, and it was a picture of me playing softball in the Dodger Stadium celebrity softball game, where like I was the coach and Jimmy was the coach on the other team. And all of a sudden you're watching home movies because you could just load anything you want into this thing.
And you can't put it by alphabetical order. It's just like whatever it is.
One could.
I got to tell you, my son is pretty tech savvy, and I've asked him like 5 times, like, how does this work? And he's like, you just scroll through. But as you scroll through
he's fucking with you.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh no, yeah,
I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure that even if you had that on your app or on your phone, you'd be like, I just press the $4.99 because it's worth it for me not to have to spend 5 minutes looking for it.
What are you showing us?
Looked up Can't Hardly Wait on Just Watch, streaming on Netflix. You can
Where's
rent
it playing?
for $3.
Where's it playing?
Streaming on Netflix, and you can rent it on Amazon, Vudu, Apple TV for $3.
Oh, you can watch The Vanished on Netflix. You can watch Can't Hardly Wait.
Exactly.
All right.
There's another website I just found. It's called What Movie Should I Watch? And that's awesome because I'm always like going through Netflix, going through Apple, trying to figure out like what to watch. And if you just type in what movie should I watch, you go to the website and it gives you suggestions and ideas for like, and good movies that they're like, I never heard of this movie. This looks so obscure. Check that out because it's fun.
Wow.
Like it's kind of like, the Wheel of Fortune kind of just going. You just roll it and go, what am I going to watch tonight? And then like 3 of these movies show up and you're like, I've never seen that. Looks pretty cool.
But you don't tell them, here's some other movies I've enjoyed.
No, they just tell you their top picks of what they think you should watch. And so far I've only, been doing it for this last couple of days and they're like 3 for 3.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Now, at some point, they're going to get corrupted because there's going to be some graph, and Tyler Perry's going to break them off a slice, and then his shit's going to keep popping up when you're innocently looking for your quality films or something.
I might like those.
No, you won't. All right, let me tell you about SA Multi-Use Face Shields, the perfect piece of protective gear for your next adventure. We actually used these things when we were in Reno what's that, last weekend?
Yeah, last
already?
weekend. It was chilly.
Yeah. SA face shields are perfect for your next outdoor adventure. Whether you're working in the sun or cold or hunting, hiking, fishing, skiing, or biking, dozens of eye-catching designs for men, women, and children. One size fits all, machine washable, and a lifetime warranty. Through partnership with Operation Gratitude, they'll donate over 100,000 face shields to those on the front lines of the pandemic. For every order, SA donates 1 face shield to a first responder. Am I right, Dawson?
Stay protected outdoors because right now you can get an insane deal. Buy one, get 4 free, $150 value for just $24.99. Just go to safishing.com/Adam to get 5 face shields for the price of 1, plus a lifetime warranty and free returns if you're not satisfied. That's safishing.com/Adam.
Peter, want to hang out and do the news with us?
Sure.
All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back with Gina and the news right after this.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Beat news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, just because I had been avoiding this because I thought, well, this could be one of those things that it's done by tomorrow and now it's old news. This ain't getting done by tomorrow. So let's talk about Bodie McStuckface. This is the giant container ship that's still stuck sideways in Egypt's Suez Canal as authorities prepared to make new attempts to free this thing and reopen the waterway and this global shipping hub. It's 1,300 feet. It's called the Ever Given. It's almost as long as the Empire State Building. Excavators have been scooping sand away at both ends with an estimated 20,000 cubic yards to shift in hope that at high tide, tugboats might be able to pull this thing free. The blockage is holding an estimated 10% of the world's overall trade that normally uses the canal as a shortcut between Asia and Europe. And just as a side note, this could end up affecting gas prices, but also if the boats don't want to wait in line, they're going to take their chances around Africa and
pirates.
Yes,
going around the horn.
Yeah,
I am the captain now.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a risk doing that.
Yeah, my problem with all these stories is when I first hear about them, I go, who gives a shit about what's going on in the Suez Canal? And they go, you see that can you're holding? Yeah, that passed through the Suez Canal to get to your hand. You like those trousers you're wearing? Yeah, that had to be brought through the Suez Canal. Do you enjoy watching pornography on the internet?
You bet.
You bet.
Who doesn't?
That didn't go through the Suez Canal, but now I know more about you.
But there's a film, a beautiful adult film called The Suez Canal.
I'm sure. So evidently, and by the way, in California, the gas I bought gas yesterday. It started with a 4. We are at $4 in something. We do not need any excuses for that thing to go up any higher.
Well, and also, I couldn't find it. I should have looked harder, but I saw on Facebook Mike Rowe had this great, very on brand for Mike Rowe little meme thing. It said something like, because he's pro, skilled labor, and maybe college isn't for you. There's other trades to go into,
Sure.
And 10% of the world's cargo is all relying on the hands of one skilled guy who's digging out this sand pit, the sand trap. So really, let's give these guys credit where credit is due.
You can make the counter argument about the fucking pilot.
Yeah. I mean, the skipper. Yeah. When did they?
Sorry. Yeah.
I got it. When
Captain.
What is I know the history of the Panama Canal to some degree. But I don't know really the history of the Suez Canal. So I would like to know more about that. The Panama Canal, this is America at her finest. I think the French started it, and after about 2 years, we're like, all right, quit fucking around. And we showed up, and we knocked it out. Everyone got malaria and died because, that's the way we used to roll back then. But I think
have you ever seen the Panama Canal? Have you ever gone to see it?
No, never been there.
I got to go check it out.
You drove your RV through it?
Drove my RV to Panama.
How was it?
It turns into a boat, and I went down the Panama Canal. It's pretty amazing. Like they drop the ocean, like the water for the boats. It raises and rises depending on
in the gates.
Pretty incredible the way the structure of the whole thing.
Well,
I have no idea what the Suez Canal is either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Everything I know is that Billy Joel once told me there was trouble in the Suez. That's it.
It's kind of interesting because I think the gates are there to kind of get you uphill. Like the water the elevation may not be the same from one end to the next.
Yeah.
So how do they get you moving sort of against the current, so to speak? And I think they use the gates that way. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible that they built that thing in 1914 or whenever the hell they built it. I mean, it was a long time ago. But what a crazy ambition. Like, everyone before you had just been sailing all the way around the Horn, and you're like, if we could just take a few miles here and dig a trench, we could cut across.
Shortcut, yeah.
And did you
Took
know?
a long time to get there, too. A long time to do that.
That's right. And I think I'm right. This might be a bit of a Snapple fact, but did you know that the Statue of Liberty was originally supposed to be at the entrance of the Suez Canal?
Oh, really? Well,
It was supposed to be an Egyptian woman with a light.
Oh, really?
I didn't know that, but it makes sense because the French who gave us that were the ones who were originally dispatched to do the work.
We were re-gifted the Statue of Liberty?
They didn't want, they passed. We got sloppy seconds.
What the fuck?
I don't know how it happened, but that's who it was for.
I think there was a situation where the Americans came in and took over the canal. You can find that, Max Pat. I don't know where it is, but if memory serves, the French worked on it for a long period of time, and we didn't think they were making enough progress. So we showed up.
Ah, there it is. There's the Suez Canal.
And then we're looking at the Suez Canal. What year's the Suez Canal? That's later. Max Spada, you got a computer?
Yeah.
What year?
Do you want? Wait, what do you mean?
The
what
Suez
year?
Canal.
Okay.
What year is it?
Began
Today.
What construction began 1859, completed 1869.
Oh, really? It's that old.
Wow.
So I was looking at the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, the Panama Canal then must have been after that. Yeah, who knew? I guess we just didn't care about that region of the world back then.
Look how skinny that thing is.
Well,
I mean, how does this not happen more often?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I sound like an idiot, but in 1859, were there even Western states? There was nothing to ship to.
Yeah, I guess so.
How about a canal through Florida? That's what we need, right? From one side of Florida to the other.
Yeah, I'd take that.
Just let it drift away.
All right, the Panama Canal. What year's that, Max Pata?
I mean, I'm not finding a date right away. Let me read more on it.
They play things pretty close to the vest when it
Yeah.
comes to dates and canals. I know how the internet rolls. Not so fast, hotshot. What are you doing with that information? Let's just say it was
1881, it looks like.
1881.
That's what I'm seeing here.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead, Gina Grad. Yeah. Got it.
Yes. Okay.
It's kind of, I don't know. Don't you guys like those stories like, oh, it's a giant container ship and it got sideways and now it's blocking the canal versus like a nut job dressed up as the Joker walked into a movie theater and opened fire on.
It's quaint.
It's quaint. Like I miss these. These are stories from my childhood. You know, somebody fell down a well. A ship got lodged in a canal. You know, these are my childhood stories. Now it's all just nut job guy walked into supermarket, started shooting. You know, it's
Turning on ourselves
massage
instead of
parlor.
innovate.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so goddamn depressing.
It looks like it opened. Sorry, that's maybe when they started building it and constructing it. But 1914 was when it looks like it opened.
That
for
sounds
Panama.
about right. Yeah.
Sharon Osbourne, no longer a part of The Talk, the CBS show on daytime, that airs on daytime. I have the entire statement from CBS, and I'm going to read it
All
word
right.
for word. It's about a paragraph. The events of March 10th broadcast were upsetting to everyone involved, including the audience watching at home. As part of our review, we concluded that Sharon's behavior toward her co-host during the March 10th episode did not align with our values for a respectful workplace. We also did not find any evidence that CBS executives orchestrated the discussion or blindsided any of the hosts. At the same time, we acknowledge the network and studio teams, as well as the showrunners, are accountable for what happened during that broadcast, as it was clear the co-hosts were not properly prepared by their staff for a complex and sensitive discussion involving race. During this week's hiatus, we are coordinating workshops, listening sessions, and training about equity, inclusion, and cultural awareness for the hosts, producers, and crew. Going forward, we're identifying plans to enhance the producing staff and producing procedures to better serve the hosts, the production, and ultimately the viewers.
Sharon got it just in time.
when does it start to sound bizarre, Orwellian, and surreal? You know what I mean? That was a fucking nothing burger. It was an argument involving a white person and a black person, and it was an argument that involved race to a degree, but it was really her just saying, I believe Piers Morgan.
Well, and she said, isn't he allowed to just not like her? Does it have to be about race?
Well, I'll tell you the scariest part of this whole weird Orwellian wished out in the cornfield, fucking everyone as a coward time we're living in now is how everyone has to go to like re-educational camps. Like when they start getting this wordy shit about we realize that many people were hurt and many people were offended. Who the fuck saw that? By the way, anyone who watches that show is unemployable. So we shouldn't have a lot of interest in what that person does because it's 1:00, it's Tuesday, and you're sitting on your fucking fat asses watching Yentas go at it about nothing. But by the way, that's the conceit of the show. We're going to mix it up. We're going to have a diverse cast, right? And then they're going to bring their diversity of opinions to this. And you can watch. Was anyone in the audience offended or put off or they're all
according to the statement, they were hurt and upset.
They're all on methadone. They're all on methadone. It's an unemployable group of retarded people who would go to... Do you know a person that would go to a live taping of The fucking View? You have to be on methadone. You have to be an ex-junkie, and you're on the fucking dole. So who cares what these people think? It's like you have to be an Italian waiter serving the Broadway crowd or something. What the fuck?
My dad might have been there, and I think he was offended.
So it's
but I do think that you know, there's always room to educate.
No room. Not over nothing. Not over nothing. That's just a power grab. They just want
trying to educate right now.
They just want power. That's all this fucking is. Listen to me, educate everyone. What do we need? We have to break off in discussion groups? What the fuck happened? Sharon Osbourne disagreed with this other person. I don't think she disagreed.
I don't know exactly what because I didn't follow that. So, but I'm all for like, hey, if we could be a better world and you know, people are offended and you can educate and
I'm with you.
Better, then that's all good.
How much of this is guiding us toward a better world?
I mean, listen, if we can learn how not to offend people, and I think we should do that.
Right, but that would be
a better world.
You're working under the assumption that people want to not be offended. I think people want to be offended. I think that's where we're at now.
That, like, for me, like, I want to be educated. If I'm doing something that is hurting somebody's feelings or offending somebody, like, I would want to be educated on that.
Right, but if you lived with someone who never stopped wanting to be offended, then eventually it would turn Orwellian. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't want to stop being offended.
Half our society wants to be offended now. Like, there's no reason to do anything about this. They shouldn't have taken a hiatus or done anything.
Well, and it's like they used to. Who said, you know, well, I know porn when I see it. You know, I can't tell you.
Supreme Court justice.
But this is the same thing. This is scary. You don't know until you're getting your walking papers. But on the other,
we saw it, Peter. It was a zero burger, just so you know. I mean, I'm not defending someone who was overtly offensive.
But to Peter's point, there was a recent, and we've talked about this phrase a lot, this wording. But there was a recent Sarah Silverman podcast where she was talking to one of her friends, and you know, at that moment they were like, "Oh my God, master bathroom. Do you know where that comes from? Saying master bedroom, master bathroom." And he told her, and she goes, "Oh yeah, okay, I just won't call it that anymore. I'll call it the main bathroom." Like, it took 0 calories for me not to call it the master bathroom. So, you know, I'm saying that to your point, Peter. Like, it doesn't have to be a calorie burner, but yeah. On the other hand, like, Sharon's out of a job, and it's debatable to some if she did anything wrong.
Well, the problem is now there's this new thing where the person didn't do anything, and then they go, yeah, but there was other stuff they did, like behind the scenes in the dressing room stuff, so we should just get rid of her. It's kind of like, all right, so, but we're still basing it on this one interaction, right? Well, there are other things that she did. Well, then what are those things? I don't think she wants to be there anyway, and I think she's going to get cashed out.
Yeah.
But it's the Orwellian part is where they have to offer up. The network has to do the prepared statement about the audience was offended, and they're going to go break off in discussion groups and figure out how to heal themselves. Yeah, comical.
Well, Alex Trebek from Beyond the Grave is still doing great work. As we learned a while back, he donated a lot of money to preserve land in the Santa Monica Mountains, and he's still doing such things. He's now going to grace a complex. There's going to be a plaque in his honor that's dedicated to putting a dent in an issue that is near and dear to him, and of course anyone who lives in LA, the homeless crisis. So the folks over at Hope of the Valley Rescue Mission will honor the late Jeopardy host by naming a brand new homeless shelter, the Trebek Center. Alex and his wife Jean donated $500,000 as a gift to this construction project, which is about to convert what used to be a 23,000 square foot roller rink in the San Fernando Valley. Do you know which roller rink this is?
Is it the Moonlight one? Moonlight roller rink? That's the only one I know in the San Fernando Valley.
It didn't say.
I got to see where it is. There used to be a place called Flippers. Flippers was in Hollywood. And I know because they filmed the Charlie's Angels episode there, which I saw recently with Ed Begley Jr. playing the champion couples roller skating. Every second Flippers. Took me a second. Every third episode of Charlie's Angels was they were having a dance competition or roller skating, and the other couple would get abducted. They'd abduct the other one. So it's like, it'd be
a common problem.
It was a $3,000 prize, you know? So, okay, we'll get a van and we'll abduct the lead couple, or we'll abduct the woman so that we can win the competition. And then the Angels have to join the competition. That's the whole.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And I'm sure they're Crackerjack skaters. This was in Northridge, this roller skating rink.
Yeah, there was roller skating rings or rinks. Wait a minute, is it a rink?
Yeah,
it's a rink.
Roller skating rink?
You skate in a rink.
Yeah, rink.
You skate in a rink, but you
usually in a ring.
You go in a ring, but you skate in a ring.
True.
Yeah, there used to be
Norwegian or something.
There used to be roller skating rinks and drive-in theaters, like dotted the San Fernando Valley, and not so much anymore. Well, anyway,
drive-ins are making a comeback. Only people can't go to the movies as much, so I think they're starting to open up a couple more.
Well, that'll be a good byproduct of this horrible time we're living in.
I was just going to say I'd never been to a drive-in movie in my life until last year in the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Fun? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was the best. We had a great time. Yeah.
You ever been to a swap meet at a drive-in theater?
No.
Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah. They have
swap meet. What's a swap meet at a drive-in theater?
You got to do something during the day with that.
Yeah, man.
I thought you meant you drive through the swap meet like it's a drive-in.
An interactive
like roll down the window and buy stuff.
No, that is for the farmers market, and those are for the elderly drivers. This is like the big swap. It's been long enough. We can joke.
I get it.
This is like a big one out here they have, right?
I knew the one in Santa Fe Springs.
Santa Fe, yeah. Right. Yeah, they have like the drive-in swap meets. Yeah.
Wow.
I've been to a swap meet in a while.
So just in case you're driving through Northridge, this is going to break ground on May 15th. It's going to be a 107-bed housing facility. It'll serve as what's called bridge housing between the streets and permanent housing. And it's all thanks to Mr. Trebek.
With so many homeless people living under bridges, is bridge housing real like master bedroom? You know what I mean? Is that really appropriate?
It's way out.
Yeah, we should work.
That's a simple change. We could change that.
Change. Yeah, that's right.
But I think we need to do something. I was just talking to my fiance today. There's so much homelessness in LA. I mean, why don't we spend like $2-3 more on tax, like a homeless person tax or something? It's like $3 out of someone's check, and for $2-3 we can like get people off the streets and help them. Like I don't understand why we're not doing more to help people, and it's just becoming more and more rampant, it seems.
Well, that's provided they want to get off the streets. I think the problem is a lot of homeless have a lot of mental issues and a lot of addiction issues. And like we cleared out Echo Park And they said to a lot of them, we'll give you a hotel room, and a lot of them passed.
Well, the pushback is coming from a lot of sides because in the Echo Park situation, there were protesters that showed up and said, don't remove these homeless people. Even they were, like you said, they were offering them place to stay, offering them bridge housing, whatever it was. Peter, I don't think it's a money issue. I think it's a willingness issue from a lot of sides. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who, frankly, don't want this to not be a problem.
Ooh, what if instead of bridge housing, we went with loser dorm? Would that be, or
well,
probably not?
Group that, but I don't think it's going to do.
All right, well, I'll keep working.
Yeah, what else you got?
I'll keep working on it. Yeah, sad but true. But thanks, Alex Trebek from the grave.
He's the best. What are we going to change masturbate to?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we got rid of master lock.
Wait, we have the answer in Idiocracy set in the future. All they say is, I'm baiting.
Oh, I'm baiting. Yeah.
There you go.
That's right.
Perfect.
Obviously, they got to master.
That's right. Speaking of which, the Republican governor of Utah has signed legislation requiring all cell phones and tablets sold in the state to automatically block pornography.
What?
Governor Spencer Cox claims the measure would send an important message about preventing children from accessing explicit images online. Apparently, no immediate steps toward implementing this have actually happened. Actually, 5 other states have to enact a similar law, I think, to get this passed. Critics are calling the move a significant intrusion on the First Amendment right to free speech. But this is Utah, and they kind of play by their own rules.
What do we do with all the access to porn? Like, I got a 14-year-old son, you know. Do I do that move? Like a lot of guys I know, they go, well, my dad, he just blew cigarette smoke into my face until I threw up, and I never wanted to smoke.
I see where this is going.
Do we?
Yeah.
Do I just
Give him
sit
the
down
best
with my
weekend
son?
of his life.
We're going to watch porn until we both throw up.
Can do.
And let me tell you, it's going to take a while for Pops. So get out the toothpicks and the Visine. Because we're going full Clockwork Orange.
Maybe that's why people are going into the schools and shooting people. They're watching too much porn. I don't know. When I was growing up, it was like if you wanted to see boobs, it was in a plastic sealed like magazine, and you had to like sneak in and like buy a Coke and hope the guy would sell you something. But it's so accessible now, and it's it's up to parents to like put some sort of lock on their kids' phones. So it's I can see why there's a debate there where it's like, you know, there's a First Amendment right where people should have the right to, but the accessibility is, you know, it's scary that you could just literally just type in the wrong word and then, you know, the Pandora's box gets open and your 7-year-old child or 8-year-old child sees things that they shouldn't.
I think we're kind of at the point where everything is everywhere. It's all accessible. It's all free. It's in the palm of everyone's hand. Like our only choice is to like go full like Buddhist with our kids. Like you go like, it's now us against them. Like you're going to have to get your brain in shape to deal with this shitstorm that we've kind of this digital society that, and there's lots of, I'll screw the story up a little, but a lot of this Silicon Valley stuff, they're like, oh, we designed this shit to be addictive. Forget about porn. We designed this stuff to fuck with your kid's brain and to spend as many hours as possible staring at a Facebook page. Like, we're going to have to just go like Jeremiah Johnson with our kids. Like, we're going to the fucking woods, take your shoes off. Like, the part where we can keep you away from shit, that was our generation. Our generation was, we're going to take the Penthouse magazines, we're going to put them behind the counter. We're not putting them up front with the Sports Illustrated. You'd compromise and go, look at the Lowrider magazine. I see some side cleavage there, whatever. But it's like they could physically get it away from you. There is no counter to put anything behind anymore. We're going to have to just train all the customers at this point.
How old are your kids before you gave them a phone? Were they, you know, because it feels like now, when my oldest had a phone, it was like 12 or 13. And then now the middle one was like 10. And then all of a sudden it was like 9 or 8 so it's almost getting younger and younger. And then you see like 5-year-olds with, you know, 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds with phones. So like, what is the right age to go, okay, you can have a phone, you can have the iPad access, because there is, unless, you know, if you don't have a lock on it, it's scary what they can get into.
I know one one of the most insane conversations I ever had was with my daughter when she was she's probably about 9, maybe 10, and her little friend who's 9 or 10. And I said, my daughter was like
Charcuterie.
going.
You said something about charcuterie.
She was going away on the phone, and I said to her friend Cammie, I said, do you have a phone? And she's like, I'm not mature enough for a phone. And I was like, oh my God. And then she told me her favorite film was Master and Commander.
Jesus.
And I was like,
and then you daughter swapped.
This was a 7-year-old progeria.
Yes, I know. I was like, oh my God, how damn mature can a human being be? Master and Commander, and but mature enough for Master and Commander, but not mature enough to own their own phone. Yeah. All right, Gina, let's bring her home, shall we?
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, last but not least, there's Geico. Do you rent your home? Well, sure you do. And you want to save some money? How about you get your bundle going with Geico? Take your homeowners or your renter's insurance and bundle it up with your automotive policy. Go to geico.com and see just how much you save when you bundle. Get a quote and see just what they can do for you when you get your bundle on at Geico. That is geico.com. Peter Facinelli of the famous Facinellis. The Vanished is available now on Netflix. And Thomas Jane, not a bad get. Anne Heche and Jason Patrick as well. And then the Ravine available Friday on Amazon as well. Peter, am I missing anything?
No, Ravine is coming out Friday. It's a movie about forgiveness, and that's it was a tough movie for me because in that movie, my character ends up like killing his family, and he's best friends with Eric Danes, and then Eric Dane is left putting those pieces together, like his best friend snapped, and then what do you do with that when your best friend does something so horrible? How do you find forgiveness for that?
Well, you can find out Friday on Amazon. So, Peter Facinelli, thank you much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me again.
We're going to be in Nashville at Zany's April 14th doing a live pod over there. So you can just go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. Until next time, Adam Carolla with Gina Grad, Paul Bryan, and Peter Facinelli saying mahalo.